You're not tired because you use your phone too much. You use your phone too much because you're tired. And once you see the difference, it becomes hard to unsee. Because deep down, you already know this isn't just screen time. It's the feeling of reaching for your phone without thinking, opening the same apps, refreshing the same feeds, watching people live while your own life quietly waits in another tab. You tell yourself you're taking a break, but somehow the break never ends. 5 minutes becomes 50. A quick scroll turns into a full evening. And then suddenly it's 1:13 a.m. Your room is dark, your brain feels loud, and you're promising yourself that tomorrow will be different. Again. The scary part isn't even the time you lose. It's how normal it feels now. You wake up and check notifications before your feet touch the floor. You stand in line with your phone. You eat with your phone. You watch shows while scrolling another screen because, apparently, one source of stimulation no longer feels like enough. And every once in a while, there's this tiny moment, a weird moment, where you look up from the screen and feel disconnected from your own life for half a second. Like you've been mentally absent. Like your body has been here, but you haven't. Then the discomfort kicks in. So you scroll again. Here's what nobody tells you. Your phone is not just stealing your time. It's stealing your ability to tolerate reality. Boredom feels unbearable now. Silence feels uncomfortable. Waiting feels painful. Thinking feels exhausting. Your brain has quietly been trained to escape the second life becomes emotionally inconvenient. And at first, that sounds dramatic. Until you notice how often you reach for your phone during moments that actually matter. Right before starting work. Right after reading a difficult text, during a conversation, while studying, while praying, while eating, even while watching something you supposedly wanted to watch. It's automatic. Not because you're weak, because your brain learned that stimulation is safer than presence. Wait till you hear this. Most people think their phone distracts them from work. But distraction isn't the real cost. The real cost is fragmentation. Your attention gets broken into pieces so small that nothing feels emotionally complete anymore. That's why you can spend all day busy and still feel empty at night. You answered messages, watched videos, checked updates, maybe even worked a little. But your mind never fully landed anywhere. And humans aren't built for constant partial attention. You can feel it physically. The inability to sit through a movie without checking your phone. The urge to switch songs after 20 seconds. The anxiety when there's nothing new to consume. The strange discomfort of just sitting still. You know what's wild? Some people haven't been alone with their own thoughts in years. Not really. There's always noise, music, podcasts, videos, notifications, background stimulation. Because silence starts revealing things. Regret, confusion, fear, loneliness, the pressure of wasted time. And maybe that's why the scrolling gets worse at night. Because nighttime removes distractions from the outside world, so the phone becomes a shield. You lie in bed telling yourself you're relaxing, but your jaw is tight, your eyes hurt, your brain feels fried. And somehow you leave the session feeling worse than when you opened the app. Still, the next night you do it again. That loop isn't random. Tech companies learned something terrifying about human psychology. People return to what temporarily relieves emotional discomfort, not what helps them grow. And your phone delivers relief instantly. Feeling uncertain? Scroll. Feeling stressed? Scroll. Feeling bored? Scroll. Feeling behind in life? Scroll harder. Especially then, because seeing other people's achievements gives you the illusion of movement without requiring actual change. That's the trap. Your brain starts confusing consumption with progress. Watching productivity videos feels productive. Listening to motivational clips feels transformative. Saving self-improvement posts feels like self-improvement. But nothing changes. And that's when the guilt begins. Not loud guilt, quiet guilt. The kind that sits in your chest while you pretend everything's fine. The kind that shows up when you realize you've been trying to figure your life out for 3 years, but haven't spent 10 uninterrupted minutes alone with your own mind. And maybe that hits harder than expected. Because if you're honest, you don't even fully trust yourself anymore. You say you'll sleep early. You don't. You say you'll focus. You can't. You say you'll stop scrolling after one video. You already know how that story ends.
And that's when something strange starts happening. You stop believing your own promises, not dramatically, quietly. That loss of self-trust changes everything, because once you stop trusting yourself, even simple things feel heavy. And modern phones are built perfectly for that avoidance. Every notification interrupts reflection. Every scroll delays action. Every algorithm whispers the same thing. Don't sit with your life. Escape it for a little longer. But this is where it changes. Not because you suddenly become disciplined overnight. That almost never happens. It changes the moment you realize your attention is your life. Whatever owns your attention eventually owns your direction. And right now, most people's attention belongs to strangers. Strangers arguing online, strangers dancing, strangers succeeding, strangers pretending to be happy, strangers selling lifestyles they barely understand themselves. Meanwhile, your own mind slowly becomes unfamiliar to you. A lot of people are terrified of being alone for 1 hour with no stimulation, no music, no scrolling, no background noise, just themselves. Because underneath all the distraction, there's usually a neglected version of you waiting there. The version that still wants something meaningful. The version that remembers what you cared about before your attention became fragmented into thousands of tiny pieces. And when you finally sit still long enough, you hear that voice again. At first it's uncomfortable. You notice how restless you've become, how quickly your hand reaches for the phone, how silence almost feels itchy. Your brain starts bargaining. Just check one thing. Just 5 minutes. You've worked hard today. But if you resist that impulse, something surprising happens. Your mind slowly starts returning to you, not instantly, gradually, like muddy water settling. You begin noticing small things again, your actual thoughts, your real emotions, what you genuinely want, what's been draining you, who you become after too much scrolling. And this next part changes everything. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want, but real freedom is being able to choose what deserves your attention. That's rare now, because distraction isn't accidental anymore. Entire industries compete for your focus every second of the day. The average person reaches for their phone without conscious thought dozens, sometimes hundreds of times daily. Not because they decided to, because the behavior became unconscious. That's why this battle feels personal. You're not fighting your phone. You're fighting automaticity. You're fighting the version of yourself that escapes instead of engages. And no app setting will solve that alone. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Your future is shaped less by your big goals and more by what you repeatedly do when you feel uncomfortable. That's it. When work gets difficult, do you stay present or escape? When loneliness appears, do you reflect or numb yourself? When boredom hits, do you create or consume? Those tiny decisions look harmless, but repeated daily, they become identity. And identity is powerful, because eventually you stop saying, "I'm trying to focus," and start realizing, "I became distracted." You stop saying, "I don't have time," and realize, "My attention has been stolen in small, invisible pieces." You stop waiting to feel motivated and start protecting your mind like it actually matters, because it does. Your attention determines your relationships, your creativity, your peace, your goals, your ability to think deeply, your ability to love fully, even your ability to feel alive. And maybe for the first time in a while, you start noticing how much life exists outside the screen. Real conversations, real silence, real ambition, real presence. You notice mornings feel calmer when you don't immediately flood your brain with stimulation. You notice your thoughts becoming clearer. You notice time slowing down again, not because life changed, because you finally returned to it. And no, this doesn't mean becoming perfect. You'll still scroll sometimes. You'll still waste time. You'll still have nights where you fall back into old habits. But now you see the pattern. Now you notice when your phone becomes emotional anesthesia instead of a tool. That awareness alone changes you, because unconscious habits control you. Conscious habits can be challenged. And maybe the biggest realization is this: your life isn't being destroyed in dramatic ways. It's being quietly traded away in fragments. A few distracted hours, a few delayed dreams, a few years spent mentally absent, until one day you wake up wondering where all the time went. But it doesn't have to end there. You can still reclaim your attention. You can still rebuild your mind. You can still become someone who is present in their own life again. Not by running away from technology, by finally stopping the habit of running away from yourself. And if this felt real to you, don't ignore it.